Welcome to episode 61 of the Animorphs Read Along broadcast. Today we are talking about book 53, The Answer. Ghostwriters have handed Applegate back the baton. There's a ton of stuff to unpack in this book. It's sort of bursting at the seams with action and character moments and plot twists, and it's kind of overwhelming. This book is also soul-crushingly sad. I feel like my heart has just been ripped out seeing our characters go to these places that they can never come back from. I spent 5 years with these characters when I was a kid, and it's just extraordinarily painful to watch all this play out. But anyway, last book they blew up the Yeerk pool, and this book begins with the pool ship landing in sort of the remnants of their town. It's sort of this massive challenge from Mr. One being like, come and get me. Come and get me. The Animorphs come up with this plan to steal the pool ship, using this diversion of U.S. military troops, the auxiliary Animorphs, as well as a bunch of Taxxons who have decided to defect. A lot going on just here. First of all, the Taxxons wanting to defect because of the morphing cube. A, makes so much sense. B, gives us the chance to see Arbron, Elfangor's friend from the Andalite Chronicles, who is still around all these years later, and who's actually done something good with his horrible fate. And C brings up this interesting idea that Cassie somehow predicted this. She knew that giving the Yeerks the morphing cube would somehow weaken them overall, that people would see another way. Now, in book 50, when Cassie let the Yeerks have the morphing cube, I don't think it was clear to us that was her end goal. But anyways, now it's turned out to be maybe an okay thing. Tom, who has decided to go traitor, he hates Mr. One and he's out for himself, and he's gonna help the Animorphs get on the pool ship. Cassie and Jake finally kind of have it out. You know, I love you. I love you too, Jake, she said, and put her head on my shoulder. I guess if we win, if we survive, maybe we should, get married and all. I mean, eventually. I know we're young, but man, we've been through enough that it should count for a few extra years, shouldn't it? I don't know what I expected her answer to be, but I didn't expect her to start crying, and not tears of joy either. Cassie knows it's a fantasy and it's not going to come to pass. She even kind of asks me, she's like, what are you going to be when this is over, Jake? Really? And it's very reminiscent of the Jake-Rachel conversation back in book 22. And eventually Jake says, look, Cassie, when this is over, I'll be done with it forever. She forced a smile. A year after it ends, if we win, a year afterward, if you want to be with me, we'll talk about that again, okay? Jake's kidding himself here. I think Cassie knows they're never going to be able to have that. Tom has come to the Animorphs with this plan, but Jake is sensing that he probably can't trust Tom. So he's thinking, and he finally says, it came to me all at once that I could beat him. Use him and beat him. One of those rare perfect moments when a dozen nagging questions, an infinity of details, simply fall perfectly into place and form a single clear picture. It took my breath away. The perfection of it. The pure, ruthless perfection of it. All I had to do was send my friends to die. And this was the moment in the book when my heart just sank. And then we have this exchange between Rachel and Jake. And I think Rachel and Jake have had such an interesting relationship, with the two of them both sort of being plagued by and addicted to this war in ways that the other characters maybe are not. Rachel, I have a job for you. I explained what I wanted her to do. You're sure, Jake? She asked solemnly when I had finished. Because if you tell me go, I'll follow your orders. You know what that means. Yeah, Rachel, I know what it means. Still, she hesitated. It won't be the Yeerk, Jake. It'll be Tom. It'll be him. I know that, I said, and if it happens, if it comes down that way, I don't have a plan for getting you out. You'd be on your own. That's how I like it. So the way this book plays out, everything gets really, really messy and really ugly. The auxiliary Animorphs, who have been really freaked out by the fact that they lost a comrade earlier in this book, are like, look, we don't really want to, risk our lives again. And Jake says, James, we didn't give them morphing powers so they could have fun flying around. This is when we need them. All of them. And then they all die. And there's something very disturbing about the fact that these, 20 kids or so were recruited and basically sent to the slaughter. I mean, I think that's supposed to bother us and make us really uncomfortable. It's messed up. This was a book with a lot of killing. They go in earlier and just slaughter Taxxons. And it was actually kind of Cassie's idea. That's how grim things have gotten. They come across the pool on the pool ship, and Axe is like, we could drain it. and Jake gives the order to kill 17,372 Yeerks. But at the end, Tom has the blade ship and he's coming for the pool ship, and the book just ends with Jake saying, "Rachel, go." I'm so glad that Applegate came back to do this book and the next book, because no one writes these characters as well as Applegate does, obviously, so it's just really good to have her back behind the wheel. Very early on in the book, Jake says, "The six of us, Marco, Rachel, Tobias, Axe, Cassie, and I, had stayed together through impossibly bad times, through every defeat, every close call, every mind-twisting weirdness, every horror. None of us had ever turned against the others. There had never been a betrayal." By the end of this book, with the revelation that Axe has been secretly in communication with the Andalites, with Tobias finding out that Jake has sent Rachel on the secret mission, with Jake manipulating and forcing Eric, their oldest ally, into doing something he doesn't want to do, lots of things have happened in this book that have been betrayals. And the Animorphs will never be the same. So on that happy note, those were all my thoughts about Animorphs number 53, The Answer. Next book is the last book, number 54, The Beginning, and I will be reviewing it on Thursday.